The waiter placed the bill on the table with a discreet smile. $4,500 for dinner for 12 people. My son Michael reached for his wallet, face pale, calculating whether his credit card could handle it. "Let me get this," I said quietly. Lauren, my daughter-in-law, laughed. Actually laughed. Loud enough that the table next to us turned to look. "You? Ellie, that's sweet. But this is $4,500. We've got it covered." She said it the way you'd talk to a child offering to pay for groceries with their allowance. Patronizing, amused, certain I couldn't possibly have that kind of money. I opened my worn leather purse, the one I'd carried for 15 years, and pulled out my card. Black, metal, heavy, American Express Centurion. No spending limit. Lauren's smile froze. Her father, Richard, went white. Stood up so fast his chair scraped loudly. Wait. Are you Eleanor Westbrook? The Eleanor Westbrook? I smiled. The same gentle smile I'd been wearing all night while they discussed how generous they were to help me. "Yes, Richard, I am. And about that house you're living in, Lauren dear, the one Michael said was his investment property, I bought that 3 years ago for $2.8 million. It's in my name. You're not paying rent to some landlord. You're living in my house for free." The silence that followed was beautiful. My name is Eleanor Westbrook. I'm 68 years old. I'm worth approximately $1.7 billion. And for the past 3 years, I've let my daughter-in-law think I'm poor. Not because I'm cruel, because I wanted to see who she really was. Let me start from the beginning. I made my fortune in pharmaceuticals. Back in the 1980s, I was a chemist working at a small biotech company. We were developing a treatment for a rare autoimmune disease. The big pharmaceutical companies weren't interested. Not enough patients, not enough profit potential. But I believed in it. I believed in science, in helping people who'd been forgotten by the system. I quit my job, took out loans, convinced 3 other scientists to join me. We founded Westbrook Biosciences in 1987 with $75,000 and a lot of hope. 10 years later, our drug was FDA approved. It didn't cure the disease, but it managed it, gave people their lives back. And yes, it made money, quite a lot of money. We went public in 1999. I owned 42% of the company. By 2002, my stake was worth $800 million. I could have retired then, lived on a beach somewhere, enjoyed my wealth. But I didn't. I kept working, kept developing treatments, kept focusing on diseases that other companies ignored, the rare ones, the ones that affected thousands of people instead of millions, the ones where profit wasn't guaranteed, but human impact was. By 2010, Westbrook Biosciences had developed 7 different treatments for rare diseases. We'd helped over 200,000 patients worldwide. And I'd become a billionaire. Not because I was trying to, because when you actually help people, success follows. I sold the company in 2015, walked away with $1.4 billion after taxes, invested it carefully, conservatively. By 2020, it had grown to $1.7 billion. And through all of this, I lived modestly. Same house I'd bought in 1992, 3-bedroom ranch in a nice but not ostentatious suburb of Boston. Drove a 10-year-old Honda, shopped at regular grocery stores, wore clothes from department stores, not designer boutiques. Why? Because I grew up poor, really poor. My father was a factory worker. My mother cleaned houses. We had enough to eat, but not much else. I went to state school on scholarships and worked 3 jobs to pay for what the scholarships didn't cover. I never forgot what it felt like to count pennies, to stress about whether the car would start, to wear the same winter coat for 5 years because you couldn't afford a new one. So when I became wealthy, I didn't change my lifestyle much. Didn't need to. The security of wealth isn't about fancy things. It's about freedom from worry, about knowing your bills are paid, about being able to help others without risking your own stability. I had one child, Michael, born in 1984 when I was 28. His father, James, was a good man. We married young. He supported my career even when it meant sacrifices. When I was working 18-hour days in the lab, he was home with Michael. When I was traveling for investor meetings, he held down the fort. James died in 2008. Heart attack. Sudden. Devastating. He was only 50 years old. Michael was 24, starting his career, grieving. I supported him through it, made sure he was okay, made sure he knew he could come to me for anything. But I didn't spoil him, didn't hand him money just because I had it. I wanted him to build his own life, his own identity, his own sense of accomplishment. I paid for his college. That was a given. But after graduation, he was on his own. Got a job in marketing, worked his way up, rented apartments, lived like a normal young professional. I was proud of him. He was independent, hardworking, kind. Then he met Lauren Ashford, 29 years old when they met. Beautiful, blonde, well-educated, MBA from a good school, worked in finance, came from money. Her father, Richard, owned a successful real estate development company. They dated for 2 years, got engaged. Michael was happy. That's all I cared about. But something about Lauren bothered me. I couldn't put my finger on it at first. She was polite to me, always smiled, always said the right things. But there was something calculated about it, something that felt like performance rather than genuine warmth. I decided to test it. When Michael introduced us, I was wearing jeans and a simple sweater, driving my Honda, living in my modest house. I didn't mention my wealth, didn't mention the company I'd founded, just said I was retired from pharmaceuticals. Lauren asked what I did before retirement. I was a chemist, I said, worked in a lab for many years. Oh, she said, losing interest immediately. That's nice. She never asked another question about my career, never showed curiosity about what I'd accomplished. Because to her, a retired chemist meant middle class, meant unremarkable, meant unimportant. Fine, I'd let her think that. At their engagement dinner, I wore a dress from Macy's, brought wine from Trader Joe's, watched Lauren's mother, Patricia, exchange looks with her father, Richard, saw them assess me, categorize me, dismiss me. So, Eleanor, Patricia said with a smile that didn't reach her eyes, Michael mentioned you live alone. That must be difficult. I manage, I said. Well, you know you're always welcome to visit. We have plenty of space. The implication was clear. Poor widow, living alone in her modest house, probably struggling financially, to be pitied. I smiled, said nothing, watched. The wedding was in June 2021. Expensive. Richard paid for most of it. Michael paid for his half with savings and a loan from me, $50,000 at zero interest, to be paid back when he could afford it. Lauren wanted a lavish affair, 300 guests, destination venue, premium everything. It's what we deserve, she told Michael. We work hard. We should celebrate. What she meant was, I come from money and I'm not settling for less than what I'm used to. Michael tried to scale back. Maybe we could do something smaller, more intimate. Your mother can't afford to help, can she? Lauren said, not cruelly, matter-of-factly. So we're lucky my parents can cover it. Don't you want me to have the wedding I've dreamed of? Michael couldn't argue with that. At the wedding, I wore a dress I'd worn to a friend's wedding 5 years earlier, did my own hair, carried the same worn purse I always carried. I watched Lauren's family, watched them whisper, Watched Patricia lean over to her sister and murmur something, both of them glancing at me. I was seated at a table with Michael's cousins. Nice people. We had a lovely time. But I wasn't at the head table with family. That was reserved for Lauren's parents, her siblings, her extended family who'd contributed money. I understood the message. Michael's poor mother. Not important enough to sit with the important people. After the wedding, they moved into an apartment. Nice place, 2 bedrooms. Michael paid rent from his salary. They were happy for about 6 months. Then Lauren started complaining. We're 30 years old. We should own property. We should be building equity. We're saving for a down payment, Michael said. Another year or two. Another year or two? Michael, my friends already own homes. We look like we're struggling. They didn't look like they were struggling. They had good jobs, good income, good life. But to Lauren, renting meant failure, meant she hadn't achieved what her social circle expected. Michael came to me. Mom, I know this is a lot to ask, but would you consider loaning us money for a down payment? We're looking at houses in the $400,000 range. We'd need about $80,000. And you'd pay me back? Yes, with interest, whatever rate you want. I thought about it. Thought about what I knew of Lauren. Thought about what I'd observed. Let me make you a different offer, I said. I'll buy you a house. As an investment property. You live in it rent-free. When you're ready to buy your own place, I'll sell it to you at cost. Mom, that's too much. It's an investment for me. I want property in my portfolio. You living there helps me by keeping it maintained. Win-win. It wasn't really about investment. I had more money than I'd ever need. But this gave me leverage, control, a way to protect Michael if things went wrong. Are you sure? I'm sure. Let's find you a house. We found a beautiful 4-bedroom colonial in a good neighborhood, $2.8 million. I paid cash, put it in my name, set up a rental agreement, $0 per month, no lease term, cancelable by either party with 30 days notice. Michael was ecstatic. Lauren was thrilled. Her parents were confused. Your mother bought this? Richard asked. I thought she was retired on a modest pension. She invested well, Michael said vaguely, and she wanted to help us out. Lauren accepted the story without question, because it fit her narrative. Michael's mother, lonely and desperate for purpose, had probably scraped together her life savings to buy this house. How sweet, how touching, how pathetic. She never asked how much the house cost, never asked to see the deed, never wondered how a retired chemist on a pension could afford a nearly $3 million property, because she didn't see me as a real person, just a generic old woman, background furniture in her life. And that's when I decided to really watch, to see who Lauren was when she thought nobody important was looking. Over the next 3 years, I played the role of poor old widow perfectly. I'd visit their house wearing my department store clothes, driving my old Honda, carrying my worn purse. Lauren would greet me politely, offer tea, make small talk for exactly 15 minutes before inventing a reason to leave the room. I have to prep for a meeting. You and Michael visit. She never asked about my life, never asked what I did with my time, never showed interest in who I was beyond Michael's mother who occasionally visits, but she talked about me plenty. I'd be in the kitchen helping Michael with something when I'd hear her on the phone in the next room. Yes, she's here again. I know, she visits every few weeks. No, she doesn't have much else to do. Retired. Yeah, living alone. Michael feels bad for her. We're basically her only family. Every word dripped with pity. Poor old Eleanor. So lonely. So dependent on her son for companionship. It should have hurt, but it didn't, because I was learning exactly who Lauren was. The incidents piled up, small things, revealing things. One afternoon, I arrived early. Lauren was on the porch with a neighbor, Mrs. Patterson from across the street. They were having coffee. I heard Lauren before she saw me. "Oh, she's harmless, just old and lonely. Michael feels obligated, you know? She doesn't have anyone else. We let her come over and feel needed. It's the least we can do." "That's very generous of you," Mrs. Patterson said. "Well, family takes care of family, even when it's inconvenient." I stood there for a moment, deciding whether to reveal myself. Instead, I walked around the block, gave them time to finish, came back 15 minutes later. Lauren greeted me with a bright smile. "Ellie, I didn't know you were coming today." "Last-minute visit. Hope that's okay." "Of course. Michael's at work, but he should be home soon. Come in, come in." Not a word about the conversation I'd overheard, just performance, just the role of dutiful daughter-in-law. At Thanksgiving that year, we gathered at Lauren's parents' house. 20 people, catered meal, everything elegant. I brought a pie, apple, homemade, the same recipe I'd been making for 40 years. Patricia accepted it with a tight smile. "How sweet! We'll make sure to save you a slice." The pie never made it to the dessert table. I found it later, in the kitchen, untouched. They'd served store-bought pies from an expensive bakery instead. Mine sat on the counter, a symbol of my inadequacy. After dinner, Patricia gave a toast. "I'm so grateful for our family, for Richard, who provides so well for us, for our children, who've built such successful lives, for our new addition, Eleanor, who, well, we're glad you could join us." The pause before my name said everything. I was an afterthought, a charity case they'd taken in, not really family, just adjacent to it. Later that evening, I helped clear dishes. In the kitchen, I overheard Patricia and her sister Margaret. "Poor thing," Margaret said, "living alone at her age? At least Lauren and Michael take pity on her." "Lauren's been wonderful about it, takes her shopping sometimes, includes her in things. You can't choose your in-laws, but you can choose to be gracious." "How does she afford anything? Chemists don't make much." "I think Michael helps her financially. He's never said, but you can tell. That old car she drives? Probably all she can afford. That little house? Probably mortgaged to the hilt." Actually, my house was paid off. Bought with cash in 1992, worth $800,000 now. But they didn't ask. They just assumed. Christmas was worse. Lauren organized a gift exchange. Secret Santa, $20 limit. I drew Derek's name, got him a nice book about architectural design. He'd mentioned being interested in buildings at Thanksgiving. $23 at the bookstore. Derek got my name. He gave me a $5 gift card to Dunkin' Donuts. "I figured you'd appreciate something practical," he said, "since you probably don't get to treat yourself much." Around the table, people nodded. How thoughtful of Derek. How generous to think of poor Eleanor. Michael looked uncomfortable but said nothing. Lauren smiled encouragingly at Derek. I thanked him graciously. Used the gift card the next week. Got coffee and donuts. Tipped the barista the $5. At least someone benefited. Michael's birthday in June was particularly revealing. Lauren threw him a surprise party. 30 people at their house. Catered food, hired bartender, elaborate decorations. I wasn't invited to the planning. Found out about it 2 days before when Michael mentioned it casually. "You're coming Saturday, right? Lauren's party for me?" I didn't know there was a party. "Really? I thought she invited everyone. Let me check." He texted Lauren. She responded immediately. "Of course Eleanor's invited. Must have forgotten to text her. Tell her 6 p.m. Must have forgotten. Except she'd remembered to invite 30 other people. She'd remembered the caterer, the bartender, the decorations. She'd just forgotten me. At the party, I was introduced to Lauren's college friends. "This is Michael's mother, Eleanor. She's retired." "Oh, how nice. What did you do?" Before I could answer, Lauren jumped in. "She worked in a lab, science stuff, Anyway, let me introduce you to my friend Sarah. She works at Google. Dismissed, redirected, made invisible. I watched Lauren work the room, laughing with the successful people, the ones with good jobs, fancy degrees, important titles. She ignored the partners who weren't as successful, the ones who didn't fit her image of what mattered. One of her friends, Beth, was a teacher, elementary school. She stood alone by the drinks, clearly uncomfortable. I joined her. "Hi, I'm Eleanor." "Beth, nice to meet you. You're Michael's mom?" "I am. And you teach?" "Third grade. Not very glamorous, I know." "Teaching is one of the most important jobs there is. You're shaping young minds, building futures." She looked surprised. Most people here don't see it that way. They ask what I do, I say teacher, and they immediately look for someone more interesting to talk to. Then they're fools. We talked for an hour. She told me about her students, her challenges, her love for teaching despite the low pay and lack of respect. I told her about my father, who'd never made it past 8th grade, but was the smartest man I ever knew. Lauren came over eventually. "Ellie, Beth, sorry to interrupt your chat. Beth, I need to borrow you. Want to show you something." After Beth left, Lauren leaned close. "You don't need to monopolize my friends. I know you don't get much social interaction, but I was having a conversation." "I know. Just try to circulate more. Let other people talk to her." Translation: stop taking up space. Stop being visible. Remember your place. The house renovation was the final straw before I decided to act. Lauren announced it at a family dinner. "We're redoing the kitchen, something more modern, more us." "That's exciting," Patricia said. "How much are you spending?" "About $80,000. Worth it, though. The kitchen is the heart of the home." Richard nodded. "Good investment. Adds value to the property." Nobody asked whose property. Nobody wondered how two people in their mid-30s could afford an $80,000 renovation plus a mortgage on a $3 million house. They just assumed it was all Michael and Lauren's success. The renovation took 3 months. They posted updates on Instagram, before and after photos, designer tags, humble brags about finally having our dream kitchen. Lauren tagged Michael, tagged the designers, tagged the appliance companies. Never mentioned that it wasn't their house, that they paid 0 rent, that every dollar they spent on that renovation was going into someone else's asset, mine. I let it happen. Watch them spend the money. Watch them claim ownership. Watch them forget that everything they had was built on a foundation I'd provided. And I waited for the right moment to remind them. At family gatherings at Lauren's parents' house, I'd watch the dynamics. Patricia would ask, "Eleanor, how are you managing? Is the house holding up okay?" "Yes, thank you. Everything's fine." "Well, if you ever need help with anything, repairs, bills, you just let us know. We're family now." The implication, she thought I was struggling financially, that the house, my modest 3-bedroom ranch, was probably falling apart, that I needed their help. I'd smile, thank her, let her believe it. Richard would make comments about investments, real estate, market trends, never directed at me, because I was just a retired chemist. What would I know about money? Lauren's brother Derek worked in tech, made good money. He'd talk about his stock options, his portfolio, his financial advisor. Never asked if I had investments. Why would he? I was just the poor mother-in-law. The only person who never treated me that way was Lauren's grandmother, Charlotte, 85 years old, sharp as a tack. At one gathering, she pulled me aside. "You're not what you seem, are you?" "I'm exactly what I seem," I said carefully. "No, you're not. I've been watching you. You dress modestly, but your watch is a Patek Philippe. old but real. That purse you carry is worn, but it's from Hermes. You have the posture of someone used to command. You're playing a role. I looked at this woman, really looked, saw intelligence, perception, discretion. Why haven't you said anything? I asked. Because I want to see how this plays out. My granddaughter is a snob, always has been, thinks money equals worth. I've tried to teach her better, failed, apparently. So I'm curious, what are you planning? Nothing cruel, just observation. Good. She deserves to be taken down a peg or two. Carry on. Charlotte never told anyone, became my quiet ally. The breaking point came 3 months ago. Lauren got promoted, big raise, started making 6 figures. Suddenly, she was insufferable. I'm thinking we should renovate the kitchen, she told Michael. Something modern, maybe $80,000? Lauren, that's a lot of money. We can afford it. I'm making twice what I made 2 years ago. Plus, it'll add value to the house. It's not our house. It's my mother's. Oh, please. She gave it to you. She's not going to care what we do with it. Michael looked uncomfortable, but didn't push back. They renovated. $85,000. Gutted my beautiful kitchen and installed ultra-modern cabinets, marble counters, professional appliances. Lauren posted photos on Instagram. Finally upgraded to a kitchen worthy of hosting. #homeowner, #living my best life. She tagged the location, tagged designers, made it very clear that this was her house. Michael called me. Mom, about the kitchen. It's fine, sweetheart. You live there. You should make it comfortable. Lauren got a little carried away. I said it's fine. But it wasn't fine, because it showed me something important. Lauren genuinely believed this was her house, that she had the right to do whatever she wanted with it, that I was just some old woman who'd probably forgotten she even owned it. Time to remind her. Michael's birthday was October 15th. He'd be 40 years old. Lauren planned a big dinner, reserved a private room at Marcus, one of the most expensive restaurants in Boston. We're inviting everyone, she told him. My family, your cousins, our friends, 40 people. It'll be amazing. That's going to cost. Don't worry about it. My dad said he'd cover it. It's a milestone. We're celebrating. Michael invited me, of course. Mom, please come. I know you're not big on these things, but it's important to me. Of course I'll come. Lauren's family will be there. They can be a bit much, but I want you there. I understand. I'll be there. I chose my outfit carefully. Old cardigan, long skirt, sensible shoes. The Hermes purse Charlotte had noticed, worn enough that most people wouldn't recognize it. The Patek Philippe watch, covered by my sleeve unless I moved my arm a certain way. I looked exactly like what Lauren thought I was. A poor old woman, invited out of obligation. The dinner was October 15th, 7 p.m. I arrived right on time. The private room was beautiful. Long table set for 40, champagne already flowing. Lauren's family held court at one end. Michael's cousins were scattered throughout. I was seated at the far end, near the kitchen door, the least important seat. Charlotte, bless her, insisted on sitting next to me. I wouldn't miss this for the world, she whispered. Lauren made a grand entrance, designer dress, professional hair and makeup. She looked stunning, and she knew it. Everyone, thank you so much for coming to celebrate Michael's 40th. Isn't this amazing? Applause, cheers. Michael looked happy, but slightly overwhelmed. The meal began, course after course, wine pairings, everything expensive, everything excessive. Lauren held court, talked about her promotion, their house, their renovated kitchen, their upcoming vacation to the Maldives. We're so blessed, she said. We work hard and we're finally seeing the rewards. Patricia beamed. You two have done so well. We're so proud. Richard raised his glass. To Michael and Lauren, may your success continue. Nobody mentioned that they lived in a house they didn't pay for, that the renovation was funded by Lauren's new salary, not savings, that everything they were celebrating was built on a foundation I'd provided. I sipped my water, watched, waited. Midway through dinner, Lauren's mother, Patricia, leaned toward Lauren, whispered something. Both of them glanced at me. Then Lauren got up, walked to where I was sitting, bent down close. Ellie, are you okay? You've been quiet. I know these events can be overwhelming. We're so glad you could make it. She said it loudly, performatively, making sure everyone could hear how kind and generous she was being to her poor, lonely mother-in-law. I'm fine, dear. Thank you. We'll make sure to include you more. I know you don't get out much. Charlotte kicked me under the table, suppressing a smile. Lauren returned to her seat, whispered to her mother again. This time I heard it. See, she's fine. She just doesn't know how to act in upscale places. Poor thing probably can't afford to eat at restaurants like this. Patricia nodded sympathetically. It's generous of you to include her. I'm sure it means a lot. Well, she helps with Michael sometimes. Babysitting, emotional support. She doesn't have anyone else. We're basically supporting her socially. I took a slow breath, reminded myself to stay calm, to wait for the right moment. That moment came when the bill arrived. The waiter placed the leather folder on the table near Richard. $4,573.42. Richard opened it, looked at the total, smiled. Well, that's a party. He pulled out his credit card. Michael stood. Richard, let me contribute. That's way too much. Nonsense. It's your birthday. Our gift. Lauren touched Michael's arm. Dad's got it. He wants to do this. But, Michael, let him. We can't afford this anyway. She said it quietly, but not quietly enough. Several people heard, looked over. That's when I spoke. Actually, I'd like to pay. The table went quiet. Lauren turned to me, smiled indulgently. Ellie, that's sweet, but this is $4,500. We've got it covered. I'm aware of the amount. I'd still like to pay. Richard chuckled. Eleanor, really, it's my pleasure. You don't need to. I insist. Something in my tone made him pause. I reached into my purse, pulled out my card, set it on the table. Black metal, Amex Centurion. The room went silent. Lauren stared at the card. That's not real. That's a fake card. It's quite real. Richard stood up, picked up the card, read the name. Eleanor Westbrook. His face went white. He looked at me. Wait, Eleanor Westbrook? The Eleanor Westbrook? Westbrook Biosciences? Yes. You're on the Forbes list. You're worth approximately $1.7 billion, last I checked. The silence was total. 40 people frozen in place. Lauren's voice was small, confused. What? I smiled at her, the same gentle smile I'd worn for 3 years, but there was steel behind it now. I'm a billionaire, Lauren. I founded Westbrook Biosciences in 1987, sold it in 2015. I've spent the last 3 years watching you treat me like a charity case while living in a house I bought, a house worth $2.8 million that I own, that your name isn't on. Derek pulled out his phone, started Googling. Holy shit! Eleanor Westbrook, net worth $1.7 billion, philanthropist, biotech pioneer. He looked up. You developed the treatment for Morvan syndrome? I did. Patricia looked like she might faint. But you dress so, and you drive that old car. Because I don't need to prove my worth with possessions. I spent the first 30 years of my life poor. I remember what matters. Spoiler alert, it's not impressing people at dinner parties. Lauren found her voice. You let me think you were poor, struggling, dependent on Michael? Yes, I did. Because I wanted to see who you really were. How you treated someone you thought had no power, no importance, no use to you. That's not fair, isn't it? You never asked about my career, never asked about my life, never showed the slightest interest in who I was. You dismissed me as Michael's poor old mother and never looked deeper. Michael was staring at me. Mom, why didn't you tell me? Because I wanted you to build your own life, your own success, without my money influencing how people treated you. I'm sorry I didn't tell you, but I'm not sorry I waited to tell Lauren. Richard sank into his chair. The house, that house, you said it was an investment property. It is. An investment in my son's future, one that can be liquidated whenever I choose. The deed is in my name. Michael lives there rent-free as part of a rental agreement I can terminate with 30 days' notice. Lauren's face had gone from white to red. You're saying we could be evicted? I'm saying that house was never yours. You renovated a kitchen in someone else's property without permission. Spent $85,000 adding value to an asset that belongs to me. Thank you for that, by the way. Patricia tried to recover. Eleanor, I'm sure if we'd known what? That I had money? That I mattered? So you would have treated me better? That's the problem, Patricia. You should treat people with respect, regardless of their net worth. But you don't. None of you do. I stood up, picked up my card, handed it to the waiter who'd been standing frozen near the table. Please charge this. Add 25% gratuity. Yes, ma'am. Right away, ma'am. He scurried off. I looked around the table. 40 faces staring at me. Some shocked, some embarrassed, some, like Charlotte, trying not to smile. I want to be clear. This isn't revenge. I'm not cruel. Michael, you can continue living in the house as long as you like. It's yours when I die. I've already arranged that in my will. Michael nodded, unable to speak. Lauren, I don't hate you. I just wanted you to understand something. How you treat people matters, especially when you think they can't do anything for you, because you never know who you're really talking to. I'm sorry, Lauren whispered. I didn't know. That's the point. You didn't know. And you didn't care to find out. You saw an old woman in department store clothes and decided I wasn't worth your time. The waiter returned with the receipt. I signed it. Added a $5,000 tip because the service had been excellent and this wasn't his fault. Happy birthday, Michael, I said. I love you. Call me tomorrow. I walked out of that restaurant with my head high, leaving behind a room full of people reevaluating everything they thought they knew. Charlotte caught up with me in the parking lot. That, she said, was magnificent. Was it too harsh? Not harsh enough, if you ask me, but I think you made your point. Will she hate me? Probably, for a while, but she needed this. They all did. Good for you, Eleanor. Thank you for not telling. Oh, I wouldn't have missed this reveal for anything. That was better than any birthday cake. We hugged, and I drove home in my old Honda, feeling lighter than I had in 3 years. The fallout was immediate. Michael called the next morning. Mom, we need to talk. I know. Come over. He arrived an hour later, alone, sat at my kitchen table, put his head in his hands. I don't know what to say. I don't know how to feel. You're angry I didn't tell you. Yes and no. I'm confused. Why did you let me think you were just getting by? I worried about you. I worried you were lonely, struggling financially. I know. I'm sorry. That part wasn't fair to you. But it was a test for Lauren. Yes. And she failed. She failed to see past appearances. She failed to treat me with basic respect. She didn't fail because she's evil. She failed because she's shallow. There's a difference. She's mortified. She won't leave the bedroom. She's been crying all night. I'm sorry she's hurt. But Michael, I need you to hear this. She spent 3 years treating me like I was beneath her, like I was some pathetic old woman to be pitied. She never asked about my life, never showed interest in who I was. She was kind to me the way you're kind to a stray dog, charitable, superior, dismissive. I know, I saw it. I didn't want to see it. You love her, that's not wrong, but you need to decide if you can live with who she is, or if you need her to become someone better. What do you think I should do? That's not my decision, but I will say this. People can change if they want to, if they're willing to do the work. The question is whether Lauren wants to change or whether she just wants to save face. Michael stayed for another hour. We talked about Lauren, about expectations, about what it means to really see people. When he left, I wasn't sure what would happen, but I'd done what I needed to do. The rest was up to him. Lauren called that evening. Eleanor, can I come over? Please, I need to talk to you. Of course. She arrived 20 minutes later, eyes red, no makeup, wearing jeans and a sweatshirt. She looked young, vulnerable, human. I've been trying to figure out what to say. I've written out speeches, deleted them, written more, and I realized I just need to be honest. Okay. I'm ashamed. I'm so ashamed I can barely look at you. You're right about everything. I treated you like you didn't matter, like you were just there, background. And I did it because I'm a snob, because I was raised to think that money equals worth and no money equals no worth. Go on. My parents taught me that, not directly, but through their actions, through who they respected and who they dismissed, through who got invited to dinner parties and who got ignored. I learned that rich people matter and poor people don't, and I never questioned it. Until now. Until now. When I realized I'd spent 3 years being cruel to a woman who could buy and sell my parents 100 times over. And that's the worst part. I'm not even ashamed because I was cruel to you. I'm ashamed because I was cruel to someone powerful, which means I haven't learned anything. I'm still the same snob. I'm just scared now. I looked at this woman, saw her struggling, saw genuine distress. Do you want to change? I asked. I don't know. I don't know how. Start by asking yourself, would you be here if I weren't rich? If I really were just a poor old widow living on a pension, would you be apologizing? She thought about it. No, probably not. I'd be embarrassed that people saw me be rude, but I wouldn't feel bad about it. That's honest. I'm trying to be, because I think that's what you deserve. What I deserve is to be treated with basic human decency, regardless of my bank balance, and so does everyone else you meet. I know that, but knowing it and feeling it are different. Yes, they are. So here's my challenge to you. For the next month, treat every person you meet like they might be secretly important. The waiter, the janitor, the person who bags your groceries. Treat them all like they matter and see how it feels. That's it? That's it. If it feels fake, if it feels like performance, then you haven't changed. But if after a month you realize you've stopped thinking about whether they're important and you're just being kind because it's right, then maybe you've learned something. And if I fail, then you fail. But at least you tried. That's more than most people do. She sat in silence for a moment. Are you going to kick us out? No. The house is Michael's, was always going to be Michael's. This has nothing to do with real estate. My family is humiliated. My dad hasn't left his office. My mom is telling everyone she always knew there was something special about you. Derek won't stop reading about your career accomplishments. He says he wants to take you to lunch and pick your brain about biotech investing. And you? I just want to not be the villain in your story. Then don't be. Change the ending. She left. I didn't know if she would actually change. Didn't know if one conversation was enough. But she'd been honest. That was something. Over the next month, Michael sent me updates. Lauren's being weird. She spent 20 minutes talking to the UPS delivery guy about his route schedule. She left a $100 tip at brunch. The waiter cried. She's reading your Wikipedia page and articles about Westbrook Biosciences and old interviews you did. I think she's trying to understand who you really are. A month after the dinner, Lauren called. Can I come over? Of course. This time when she arrived, she looked different, calmer, centered. I did what you said, treated everyone like they mattered. And you know what happened? Tell me. I learned things. The waiter at our regular coffee shop is saving up for nursing school. The woman who cleans our building is writing a novel. The guy at the dry cleaners has a son at MIT studying engineering. All these people I saw every week and never really saw at all. They have entire lives, dreams, struggles, and I never knew because I never asked. How does that feel? Humbling, and also good? Like I've been walking around half blind and someone gave me glasses. That's a good analogy. I know I can't erase the past 3 years, can't take back all the times I was dismissive or rude, but I want to try to be better, if you'll let me. It's not about my permission, it's about your choices. Then I choose better. I choose to see people. Good. Can I ask you something? Anything. Why pharmaceuticals? Why rare diseases? You could have focused on cancer or heart disease, things that affect millions, things that would have made more money. Because everyone else was already focused on those. The big diseases get attention, funding, research. But rare diseases, orphan diseases, they get ignored. The patients are forgotten. I couldn't forget them. That's beautiful. That's human. We're supposed to take care of each other, especially the people who fall through the cracks. Is that why you let me think you were poor? To see if I'd care about someone who fell through the cracks? Partially, but also to protect Michael. I wanted him to be loved for himself, not for my money. Do you think I love him for the right reasons? I think you're learning to, and that's enough. Epilogue. It's been a year since the birthday dinner. A year since I revealed who I really was. Some things have changed, some things haven't. Richard and Patricia treat me differently now. They invite me to exclusive events, want me to meet their wealthy friends, ask for investment advice. It's exhausting, and I mostly decline. Derek has lunch with me once a month. We talk about biotech, about investing, about his career. He's genuine in his curiosity. I think we might actually become friends. Charlotte passed away 3 months ago. At her funeral, she'd left instructions for me to speak. I told the story of how she was the only one who saw through my disguise, how she kept my secret, how she taught me that true class has nothing to do with money. There wasn't a dry eye in the church. Michael and Lauren are still together. They're in couples therapy, working through issues that the birthday incident brought to the surface. I think they'll make it, but it's not easy. Lauren has changed, really changed. She volunteers at a free clinic, uses her finance skills to help low-income families with tax preparation. She's still figuring out who she wants to be, but she's trying. That counts for something. Last week, she came over for tea, just the two of us. I need to ask you something, she said. The house. Michael said it's going to be his someday, but what about now? Are we really living rent-free in a $3 million property? Yes. That doesn't feel right anymore, knowing what I know. Can we pay you rent? You could, or you could do something else. Like what? Start a foundation for women in STEM from low-income backgrounds, fund scholarships, mentorship programs. Use your privilege to help people who weren't born with it. That's a big responsibility. You're up for it. I'll help you get started, but it has to be your project, your passion, not just something you do because I suggested it. I want to. I really do. I spent so long thinking money was about what you could buy. I'm starting to understand it's about what you can do. Now you're learning. As for me, I'm still driving my old Honda, still wearing department store clothes, still carrying my worn Hermes purse. But now people know. And it's strange. I can't be invisible anymore. Can't go undercover to see what companies are really like. Can't test people the way I did Lauren. Maybe that's okay. Maybe one test was enough. I've started a new project, working with young scientists who want to focus on rare diseases, funding their research, mentoring them, helping them avoid the mistakes I made and replicate the things I did right. It's fulfilling work, important work, the kind of work that makes wealth meaningful. Michael came over yesterday. We were sitting in my kitchen, the same kitchen where I raised him, where we've had 1,000 conversations over the years. Mom, I need to know something. Did you ever regret it? Not telling people about your money? Living modestly? Never. Money amplifies who you already are. If you're cruel, it makes you crueler. If you're kind, it makes you kinder. Living modestly kept me grounded, kept me human. What about now that everyone knows? Now I have a different challenge. Staying human when everyone treats me differently. But I have good examples. Charlotte showed me. You show me. Even Lauren is showing me that it's possible to have wealth without losing yourself. Do you think Lauren and I will be okay? I think you love each other. I think she's trying to be better, and I think that's enough to build on. But Michael, you need to decide what you want. What kind of life? What kind of partnership? Don't settle just because it's easier than starting over. I'm not settling. I'm choosing. There's a difference. Good. Then you'll be okay. Last month I got a letter from a young woman I've never met. Dear Mrs. Westbrook, my name is Sarah Chen. I'm a 22-year-old chemistry major at Boston University. I read about you in Forbes, about how you founded Westbrook Biosciences, about how you focused on rare diseases, because someone had to. My little brother has Morvan's syndrome. He's 10 years old. Your drug saved his life. Before the treatment, he couldn't function, couldn't go to school, couldn't have friends. Now he's thriving. I want to do what you did. I want to be a scientist who helps people like my brother, people who are forgotten by the system. But I don't come from money. I'm taking out loans, working 2 jobs. I don't know if I can make it. I'm not asking for money. I'm just asking for advice. How did you do it? How did you build something from nothing? Thank you for existing. Thank you for caring about the kids nobody else cares about. Sarah. I wrote back immediately. Dear Sarah, come to my house for tea. Let's talk about your future, and let's talk about how we can help more kids like your brother. Eleanor. She came last week. Brilliant young woman, passionate about science, struggling financially but determined to succeed. I set up a scholarship for her, full tuition, living expenses, research budget. The only condition? When she succeeds, she helps the next person. Pay it forward, I told her. That's how we change the world, one person at a time. That's what wealth is really for. Not fancy dinners or designer clothes or impressing people at parties. It's for Sarah, It's for her brother. It's for the 10-year-old kid with a rare disease who gets a treatment because someone cared enough to develop it. It's for opening doors, creating opportunities, giving people a chance. That's the lesson I tried to teach Lauren. That's the lesson I hope Michael carries forward. Money doesn't make you matter. How you use it does. I'm 69 now. I won't live forever, but I've set up a foundation, endowed it with half my wealth. It'll continue the work after I'm gone, funding rare disease research, supporting young scientists, helping people who fall through the cracks. The other half goes to Michael. He'll use it wisely. I trust him. And Lauren? She'll figure it out. She's already started to. Last week, she brought me flowers. Not expensive ones. Grocery store flowers. The kind I used to buy. I remembered you saying you like daisies, she said. So I got you daisies. You remembered. I'm trying to pay attention now, to actually see people. It's harder than I thought. It gets easier. Good, because I have a long way to go. We all do, Lauren. The difference is whether we're moving in the right direction. She smiled, and for the first time, it felt genuine. That's enough. That's all I wanted. Not revenge, not humiliation, just understanding, just growth, just the recognition that every person matters, regardless of their bank balance or their wardrobe or their age. That's the lesson. That's the point. And that's why I spent 3 years pretending to be poor, not to punish anyone, to teach everyone. Some people learned, some people didn't, but the ones who learned, they're worth the effort. The end. She came last week, brilliant young woman, passionate about science, struggling financially but determined to succeed. I set up a scholarship for her, full tuition, living expenses, research budget. The only condition, when she succeeds, she helps the next person. Pay it forward, I told her. That's how we change the world, one person at a time. She cried, then she hugged me, then she said something I'll never forget. People told me not to write to you, said billionaires don't answer letters from random college students, but I had to try, because your work saved my brother, and I wanted you to know that you matter, that what you did matters. You matter too, Sarah. Remember that. When you're working late in the lab, when you're struggling with experiments that don't work, when you're questioning whether it's worth it. You matter. The work matters. The patients matter. The Westbrook Foundation now operates out of a small office in Cambridge, 4 full-time employees. We've funded 17 research projects this year, supported 23 graduate students, created partnerships with 6 universities, all focused on rare diseases that Big Pharma ignores. Michael joined the board last month. He's transitioning careers, moving from marketing to foundation work, taking a pay cut but gaining purpose. Lauren supports it. She says she's proud of him. I think she means it. I'm 69 now. I won't live forever. But I've set up the foundation to continue after I'm gone. Endowed it with $850 million. The other half of my wealth goes to Michael. Last week, Lauren brought me flowers, daisies, from the grocery store. I remembered you saying you like daisies, she said. You remembered. I'm trying to pay attention now, to actually see people. It's harder than I thought. It gets easier. She's working at a free clinic 3 evenings a week, using her finance skills to help low-income families. She met a woman there, single mother, 3 jobs, who reminded her of how she'd treated me. I was so wrong about you, Lauren said last week, about what matters, about who matters. You're learning. That's what counts. I have a long way to go. We all do. The difference is whether we're moving in the right direction. Yesterday, I drove past the house. Their house now. I transferred the deed last month. Early inheritance. Through the window, I could see them cooking together, laughing, being a family. The house is theirs. The renovation they paid for. The life they're building. I don't regret the 3 years of pretending. Don't regret the test. Don't regret the lesson. Because it worked. Not perfectly, Not immediately, but eventually. Lauren learned to see people, all people, not just the ones who matter on paper. Michael learned what wealth means, what it's for, how to use it wisely. And I learned that sometimes the best gift you can give someone is the truth, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it hurts, even when it takes 3 years and a dramatic restaurant reveal to deliver it. That's the lesson. That's the point. Every person matters, regardless of their bank balance, their wardrobe, their age, their title, their circumstances. Every person matters. And if you can't see that, if you need someone to be important before you treat them with dignity, then you've already lost something essential, something no amount of money can buy back.